Welcome back to another episode of Living Beyond Limits, where we wind down and level up
together.
So, guys, we have a guest on today. Everyone's been waiting for him. He is my boyfriend. His official name is Matthew Lopez.
My whole government out there. All right.
People want to know. They've been waiting. And we also have our amazing, super talented manager, Allison.
Hey guys.
She will be helping guide us in questions today.
Okay, so let's get right into it. So the first question is, how did you guys meet?
Oh man. Do you want to cover or should I?
No, they want to hear you.
All right. So years ago, Charlene.
About 13 years ago.
About 13 years ago. Yeah. Charlene was doing some work with one of my best friends, and oh man, so my best friend at the time, his mother was sort of pushing us together, and well, oh man, I don't know. You gotta tell it. You gotta tell it. Like,
yeah. So I was working with one of his best friends, and I remember, I don't know if it was like shortly after I started working, probably.
yeah.
She came to me and she was like, "Oh, my son's best friend is coming over. I want to introduce you to him." And I'm a very friendly person, so I was like, "Yeah, you introduce me. Like, I can be friends with anybody." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, he's so cute. He's so respectful. I basically raised him." So she started telling me all of the stories, and I said, "Okay, let me meet him." And I remember you coming over, and the rest is history.
You just hit it off really well.
Mm-hmm. Not really. I mean, I think you were kind of like, you were kind and nice, but you were a little reserved and maybe hesitant. That's the vibe I got.
That's true. Well, that's true. When we did first meet, I think I was a bit more on the shy. It wasn't until a few months like after meeting you, where what was it? I think it was on my birthday. Yeah, it was on my birthday, and I just told you like, hey, I like you.
He did. He just came out and said
Okay,
it.
Matthew. Okay.
He's very direct, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
So yeah, I was like, yeah, I like you. What you gonna do about that?
I think you exactly said those words.
Yep.
Wow. Oh, that's beautiful. So you did something.
We did something. We started hanging out a little bit.
Yeah.
But we could. I mean, I was in a different place. I was younger. This is 13 years ago. I'm 37, so this was in my early 20s, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was in a different place mentally, emotionally. But we hung out. We had a good time together. We have definitely some good stories during that time.
Yeah.
But I think I was hesitant. One of the main reasons I was hesitant is because I was, working for his friend. So there were some boundaries there that we, couldn't cross because of rules. But we hung out. We had a good time. And I think towards the time where I was going to transition out of an employee for the family and more as a friend, then it became, we could possibly, do this.
Yeah.
So we started hanging out. After I had left the job, but again, I was in a different place, emotionally, mentally, everything, spiritually. So I ended the initial, quote unquote, can we call it a relationship? Maybe it was more of kind of like an exploratory thing. But I did walk away. About 6 years ago, I walked away. And it broke my heart from the minute I walked away. But I knew I had to do it for me because I knew I wasn't in the place. Like, I didn't want to drag him into a very emotional toxic situation I was in. You know, I didn't feel it was okay for him. So I walked away. How did you feel about that, babe?
Oh, I felt awful, completely awful. That moment was like a very critical moment for me, just because of everything that was happening. And at the time things were pretty tough, and mentally I was definitely being challenged with a few things. So that night, like, I remember, oh man,
I remember it too.
like, it was like out of a movie.
I always say it was anyone who saw The Notebook, where what's his name, Jack?
I have no idea.
He like him and Rose, I think her name is, they're like arguing in the rain, in the middle of the rain, and like he picks her up and like kisses her. That's exactly how it was. It was raining, and you know, so I kind of end things and I start to walk away, and then he calls my name and runs back and like lifts me up and like plants this like amazing movie kiss, and then just walks away.
Wow. That is very deep.
Yeah.
Well, now that you are back here together now, how are you guys there for one another at this point in time?
I don't really know how to answer that question, but I'll do my best. I think mentally we get taxed very differently, and I think we because of that, it's easy for us to be there for each other when things go wrong. You know, definitely when I'm feeling down and I'm feeling down and out, I usually kind of go to myself a little bit, and I don't talk to many people after that. Like, I feel like I have to regroup, and a lot of times that takes me a long time. But with her by my side, it's an expedited process. She's very good at just talking to me and helping me through it when I don't really know how to handle things on my own.
Okay.
Yeah, I think one thing that brought us back together was some really difficult times in our lives. That kind of affected both of us. And I think at that time, he was just there. You know, and there was no judgment. There was no, I mean, we had to talk through some pain, you know, that was caused with a 5-year separation. But even in that, like, he still was there. He's still, like, I mean, I wouldn't say he's the most emotional person, but when I'm crying, he'll just, like, hold me or just, like, say, hey, I understand, or that makes sense. And that's what I needed, and that's what I need a lot of times, especially now because we experienced loss when we first got back together, that devastated both of us. And then on top of that, we've been experiencing loss often, unfortunately, since we've been together. And I'm there for him and he's there for me, and I think that's the biggest thing I can see. You know, like when I need something emotionally, it's like everything else in his life stops for that minute, and he is there physically, he's there emotionally, he's there in church with me. I mean, just in the ways I need him to be, he's there, and I appreciate that.
So you guys are always showing up for one another, no matter the circumstance. Okay. Gonna move into the next question. So the people want to know, what qualities do you look for in a partner?
All right. For me, I I think I look for something that's a bit old school. You know, like when you think of a wife, you know, someone like a strong partner. I'm not saying I'm looking for a 1950s wife, you know, basically. You know, stay home, cook, and you know, have my drink for me when I come home. No, but I am looking for someone who's definitely good with kids, because I'd like to have at least a child in the future.
That's not a football team, right?
I mean, you know, we're debating on that. You know. But I want someone who can definitely handle kids and doesn't shy away from the adult life. You know, the pain of just being an adult, which is something that a lot of people do. You know, it's all too common these days. So.
All right.
Yeah.
What about you,
My
Charlene?
turn? My
Yeah.
turn.
What qualities do you look for in a partner?
I definitely look for someone that is hardworking, that is motivated, that has goals for himself, that is willing to communicate and compromise, and definitely a family man. I've always wanted a family, but I wanted a family with somebody that, like, I don't have to shrink for. I don't have to change for. Like, I can be myself, and like he could come alongside me and I can come alongside him, and we could really do life together. I don't want it to be like, oh, I'm the cook, I'm the clean, I'm the child bearer, and he brings in the money, which I appreciate. You know, he can bring in all the money, right, if he wants to. But like, I really want it to be a team effort. Mm-hmm. You know, someone that just respects who I am, like respects my morals, my faith, I mean, all of that, you know, encompassed together, and that's what he does. I mean, does he get on my nerves sometimes? Yes. And we can talk about some things he does that gets on my nerves if y'all want to know.
You sound like you have something to say.
But you know, but no, he really does have some really good qualities. I'm really interested to see how he is as a dad, because I see him kind of dealing with my god kids and my little nieces and things like that, and nephews and cousins, and he's amazing, you know. And I think I've always been attracted to him, but I think in the last almost 2 years that we've been together again, like, I think I've fallen in love with him more just by seeing the qualities that he has and how he interacts with my friends and my family and random strangers on the street. I mean, I've always thought that I was a really kind and giving person, but sometimes he takes it to a different level, and I appreciate that.
Wow, that is so true. How you treat others says a lot. It really can show you a lot. That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
I wanted to date me for a second.
Okay, so next up, do you feel that others make assumptions about your relationship often?
You want me to go first? You want to go first?
So personally, I don't think anyone makes an assumption. Okay. I think a couple of times it's happened. But it's usually when we're in a bit more of a like reserved location. But if you see me and her out anywhere, like, you know, I'm not trying to be a horn dog or anything, but I have a hard time keeping myself from her. You know, I usually am like, at least like holding her hand, or, you know, just like hugging her. Like, I don't know. I think it's very hard to mistake it.
Not to be affectionate with her. Okay.
Yeah. And the very few times that it's happened, like, I don't really pay it any mind, you know. Just some people will think whatever they think, and I mean, you can't control everybody. and all I have to do is correct them, and like everything's fine. So yeah, I never really give that any credence.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think people like have made assumptions, like at least when we're together, like me and him.
Mm-hmm.
But they have brought up assumptions to me when he's not around. And I don't. Maybe it has to do. I think it's a combination of like my disability, and I think it was also connected to like who I was when I was younger and the struggles I had. So people have brought up like assumptions of like, does he really love you? Does he really choose you? Is he taking advantage of you? Physically, financially, sexually. These are the questions that have been brought to me.
Wow.
And I think, again, it's a combination of what I struggled with when I was younger and also my disability. And I think what the relationship has taught me is it's okay to speak up and it's okay to let somebody know my feelings about it in a respectful way. And I think that's how I've grown in the last 2 years. Like I can tell somebody, no, you don't know him, nor do you know me, or you're not taking the opportunity to know me now. So you can't really. You can have your opinions, but I'm not gonna sit here and allow you to bash him or bash me or bash our relationships when you don't know. If you want to know, you can ask. He's a very open person when he feels comfortable, and you can ask him, and you can ask me, and what we feel comfortable with, we will share. You know.
So you are essentially dealing with previous perceptions that people had of you, and that is or has taken an impact at times on the relationship between you guys.
I think it can. It has the potential to, but I think I quickly learned to speak up and not let it. The last thing I want him to feel is that he's being attacked, and I'm not speaking up. I'm not letting someone know like, hey, you can feel that, you can have that opinion, but how you present it is very important. You know, and if you're not comfortable with my relationship, that's something you deal with. That's not about me or him.
I really appreciate that you guys do speak up for one another and stand up for one another. That is amazing. I'm gonna move into the next question.
Okay.
So, this is a double question for both of you guys' perspective, because this was something that was brought up before. I believe this is one of the assumptions that someone or multiple people have made in the past. So for Matthew, how do you feel / what are your thoughts when people assume you are her caretaker? For Charlene, how do you feel about people's assumptions that he is your caretaker? So when you're put in that scenario and people are immediately making that assumption, how does that make you feel? How do you deal with that situation?
I mean, for me personally, I correct them, let them know, that's not what this is. And, I don't know, I just kind of move on. Like, I don't...
You don't harp on it.
Exactly. It's never been something that's been too serious to me. Like, I know people are gonna think that on some level, whether it be people we know or random strangers. And I don't know, I've never really cared about what people think as a whole. So it's never really bothered me that people are gonna think that way. Now, if you say right now that like you've been bothered, like it's gonna bother me, because then I'm gonna feel like I gotta do something now. Who are these people?
No, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna say people have brought the question up to me, not in front of him, but they've said, "Oh, that's nice that he takes care of you," and I'm like, he takes care of me, but not because he's my caretaker, because he is my partner. So I do correct him, but I don't feel some way. I think, one thing about Matthew, like, I'm not saying he's perfect, but one thing he's done is he's made me feel, prior to getting back with him, I really did work on my self-acceptance, self-esteem, all that stuff, right? So I was able to bring that into the relationship. So adding that to who he is in a way that he helps me feel real secure in our relationship. I never question, like, where he is, what he's doing, like, who he's with, because I really feel seen and respected in the relationship. I don't question it. So I don't, like, the concerns people have about, or the questions people have about, he's a caregiver, or, I don't know, biases about it or judgments about it. It doesn't bother me. Partly because I know who I am and I'm working on that daily, but also because of how he makes me feel. I don't care if I step out this house and millions of people walking in the street think he's my caregiver, because I know who he is to me and he knows who he is to me. And that's like our bubble, and I'm not saying it's only us and nobody else is invited, but the bubble we have with each other, I feel is very secure. And if a million people think he's my caregiver, that's on them. Because I know. Does he take care of me? Yes. I will admit on national YouTube thing that I'm kind of spoiled, but no. But
that's good though. That's good that you feel that way. That you feel so well taken care of, and not in the sense that other people might be making assumptions, but in just the general sense of a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship.
Yeah, he does a good job with, like, I don't know how he does it, but finding a balance. Like, he'll do something extra that I know I can do for myself, but then he'll encourage me to still be independent and find my independence. And so I, it's okay. It's alright if a million people think it, because it's not true.
Okay.
That's right.
You guys came prepared today. Okay. So, this question may or may not be a little tough, but what is the hardest thing you've faced in your relationship? If anything, is it all roses?
Oh, no, girl. It's not all roses. Relationships are hard work, but anything that is worth it is sacrifice.
I will say this, for everything that we've ever gone through, whether it be negative or just hard, it's never been because of her disability. It's just life happens, and people, everyone has their differences, and sometimes getting through those differences can be harder than it seems on paper. But once you really start like talking it out and really figuring things out, I'm not saying things have been 100%, but it gets easier day by day to deal with those differences. I know I'm sounding a little bit vague here, and I do apologize for that.
That's completely fine. Do not have to share everything with you, okay? Or Apple Music or any of that. But I appreciate your response, because you did point out that it doesn't have anything to do with her disability. That does not incur any type of hardship on the relationship
not at all
for you.
I think for me, one of the hard, I agree, and I know what he's talking about. I always say relationships are hard work. And when you begin to fall in love with somebody, you learn parts about them that's, maybe not the easiest to accept or take some adjustments, because when you fall in love, you don't fall in love with just the good parts of them or the easy parts of them, You fall in love with who they are completely, and you have to make a decision. Is this person the way he is today? Is it somebody I can live with for the rest of my life? And that's a big question, and it's worth talking through and working through and seeing if you can come to a middle and compromising and being honest, and that's hard work, along with what he's discussing. Like, I think there's been a lot of loss and a lot of grief, and again, that's not connected to my disability, but that has been hard. But one thing I'm thankful to God for, and I always thank God for, is that God allowed me to go through that loss with him. I don't know if the loss that we've experienced in multiple layers, if I would have felt as safe and protected with anyone else. I mean, the losses we've had has, I believe, shaken us to the core of who we are. And you can't go through you can't just go through loss with anybody. It has to be the right person, or it could really change who you are in a negative way. And I'm grateful that I'm able to go through the losses with him, and not without him,
Okay, so we're almost to the end. Just a couple questions, guys, I promise. So, the second to last question is, well, Matthew, I feel like you kind of spoke on this a little bit, but do you find that your disability hinders or helps the relationship in any way?
I guess we could talk about him. I think it is both. I want to say the latter more, like it helps more, but I guess I'll get into that in a second. The way it can hinder it is not because of him. It's because of me. I think when someone has a disability, it makes it, self-confidence, self-acceptance, self-love can be challenging to have or develop. And I think I've done a lot of work in myself, and I think I'm continuing to do a lot of work, but I think it rears its head occasionally. Am I enough? Because of the physical disability, does he really choose? I mean, I'm not saying that in his choices and how to love me has shown that, but just because he shows me it every day doesn't mean that I don't question it occasionally. And it's not him, it's really me and my inner issues I have. So I constantly have to be working on myself and prayer and all that good things to like remember who I am. And be able to accept myself so that I don't like spew my insecurities on him and our relationship. I think the other day we had a conversation and he was like, babe, this ain't me. This is kind of your struggle. And he was completely right, And that's one thing I like about him, that he can be honest. And even if it hurts a little bit, I was like, no, damn, you're right. It's me. I have to work on that. So I think that's how it can hinder it. So it's not necessarily him. It's me and how I accept myself. How it helps, I think, in my opinion, it has helped me be okay with being so honest. Like, I have to be honest. I have to tell him, like, hey, this is how I feel, or this is what I need in the moment. And I think it's really helped my communication with him.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said earlier that when it comes to like a partner, I prefer someone who's a bit more traditional, and I think her disability has helped because like something that I like to do that I think most men want to do, say you're going out on a date somewhere and you're taking a cab. Well, what you're supposed to do as a man, all right, this is gonna sound a little chauvinistic maybe, I don't know. But as a man, you know, you're supposed to go out and open the door for your woman. And, I mean, thanks to her disability, that's kind of like, that's just the default. So I'm like, win for me. All right, let's do this.
True.
Stay right there, baby. I got you.
Yeah. I would agree.
So no.
chivalry is not dead.
It's
okay?
not
It's
dead.
not dead.
It's not dead. He's very. I told my mom a while ago. I said I feel like it was pouring rain, and I had on like the nicest outfit, and there was a huge puddle, and he had a jacket on. I feel like he would take that jacket off and put it on top of the puddle. That's how like aware he is of those kind of things.
Wow. We gotta give it up for Matthew one time. He is doing the thing.
I mean, look, depending on how expensive that jacket is, I might not put that in the street, but I will pick you up. I will physically lift you over that puddle.
He's very honest, guys. So that could be a great thing, and it could also be something, you know, that's hard to accept. But yes, I agree.
Okay, so you guys have shared a lot. So we just have one final question for you, and that is, what do you love about each other? To end it off.
Oh my, I'm going first, huh? Everyone's
Whoever
looking at
wants
me.
to, but you know, I know she's kind of looking over in your direction, so yeah.
No biggie, just a very powerful question. No, I don't know how to say this without summarizing what I've said throughout this whole interview, but
Matthew, it's not an interview. It's a conversation.
A conversation. So I don't want to summarize just that, but I will say I love that. I love that she has all the qualities that I'm looking for in a partner, and she's not fake. She's there for me. You know, I can be by myself and be fine, I feel. But with her, life just feels elevated. You know, I can go weeks, months without talking to other people, just going about my business. But with her, man, a day goes by and I'm like, did I call her today? Nah, we gotta fix that. Like, you know, I can't. I don't like the idea of going a day without talking to her. You know, she's helped me through so much, and she continues to help me, you know, regardless of whether or not I am acting up in some way or...
He does. He acts up, guys. He does.
You know, I'm aware. I could be a bit much, right? Like, right now, anyone who's listening, you may not be aware of just how ridiculous I can be, but I can be a handful, all right? She doesn't have Mr. Perfect over here. She's slumming it a little bit. But no. You're someone who elevates my life, and I just don't like the idea of not being without that.
Wow, I'm not gonna lie, I was about to shed a tear. Okay, Charlene, it's your turn.
I can't follow that. Listen, I can't follow that. I mean, I definitely agree. I think he definitely adds a lot to my life. And you know, after I'm out of my last relationship, I had told God that I was becoming so secure in who I am. Not that I'm perfect, guys. Don't write in the comments that you must be the perfect girl, because I'm not. I'm not the perfect girlfriend. But I had told God, I said, you know, I'm okay with being by myself. Like not that I hated men, because I don't, but I was like, God, you know, it's okay. Like, I'm so secure in myself. I'm so secure in my relationship with you that I don't feel like I need somebody to complete me because I felt like I was that I'm complete, which I still think I am, and I wasn't necessarily looking to get back with him. It wasn't something that was like in the works for a year or whatever the case is. But I think not that I feel like I'm complete in who I am, but I think he adds something to my life that I didn't think I necessarily wanted or needed, and that's exciting for me. Like, like the care he gives me, the love he gives me is so like genuine. Like he loves me when I look like a model, which I don't think I ever look like a model, or but like,
wait till they see these pictures.
And he also loves me like in the morning with my bad breath and my bonnet, even though he says you don't like my bonnet, but like he'll still love me through it, right? And he'll still like give me the most tender kiss, and with that ugly bonnet on, and with like snot in my eyes, and so it's so like he sees me for who I am, disability and not, and that's like the most genuine love I've ever gotten in my 37 years of. I mean, my mom loves me, yes, but to be loved by somebody who like chooses to love you, like that's amazing, and he's chosen me. So,
wow. No, we gotta get the tissue box out. Wow. No, I. Wow. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, y'all. I wasn't prepared to start crying, but oh my God. I'm literally speechless, and all I can say is that I am very happy for you guys. I'm very excited to see the rest of your journey together as individuals. As I've gotten to know both of you more, you guys are amazing people, and I could just see this relationship as beautiful right now and growing into something even more beautiful as the years come. Mm-hmm. So, wow. Do you guys have any final thoughts that you want to say or anything before we go? Or do you want to, let the people go get their tissue boxes?
Well, I will say this. For anyone who was looking forward to a video, I do apologize. When put in front of a live camera, I am prone to just throwing up, just out the gate. But okay. Hopefully, because of our great manager, our great, amazing, uncanny manager, yes. We will. You'll at least have some pictures to put the voices to, and I will muster up the courage to at least get on camera for a few seconds, a few minutes to to talk. But in the meantime, thank you for bearing with me on this.
No, it was great. Is there anything you want to say, Charlene?
Well, I hope you all enjoyed because you kept asking me to bring him on. Yeah. He is a real person. I am really in a relationship. So I hope you enjoyed, and he's a real person. Like, this just wasn't like things we put together to make us seem like a good couple. We really are. We put in the work to be a good couple, and I'm not saying he doesn't get on my nerves. If you want to hear part 2 and you want to hear about some things he does that gets on my nerves, we can talk about that too. But he is. He's a real guy. He's really genuine. So I hope you enjoyed. And put any questions you have, any follow-up episodes you want with him and me, maybe some other people. We have some other people we can bring on. So I hope you enjoyed.
Yes. And with that said, everybody enjoy the rest of their day. And we will see you on the next episode coming out real soon.
Bye.